Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Time. We take you around the world of football, locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. The Full Time podcast is presented and powered by 91 Network. You are tuning into Season 6, Episode 25 of Full Time. I am your host, Daniel Scarpino, and with me is our co host, Gitano Gallo. Before we begin today's show, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. The Full Time Podcast is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. With their two locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, you can download and access the Pizza Portal app so you can enjoy a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. The Full Time Podcast is also sponsored by Sioux Sports. To check out Sioux Sports and all of their articles, announcements, and streaming platforms, visit siouxsports.com as well as Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Remind our listeners that recordings of Full Time occur weekly or bi-weekly, and uploads to all of our platforms for public viewing and listening occur weekly or bi-weekly as well. Folks, we welcome you back to the Full Time podcast where it's all footy all the time. G, how are you tonight, my friend?
I am doing quite well, Scarps. Obviously, the result of the weekend we'll get into is been a nice little boost, but the weather's kind of turned around. Still a lot of snow, but we're getting there. So I'm doing quite well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm with you on all of that, obviously apart from the Carabao Cup final, but life is good nonetheless, and I'm happy to be here with you on tonight's podcast. In today's show, we will discuss some news in the world of football surrounding Major League Soccer. We will also talk about the Carabao Cup final, of course, and we will get into a discussion about Europe's Big Five amidst the current international break. As always, if anyone would like to listen to our previous content, please check us out at Full Time on all platforms of 91 Network. And without further ado, Gitano, and to everyone who has taken the time to tune in here today, let's kick off. We get today's show started with some news in the world of football. Major League Soccer is set to realign its season start and end date to reflect that of Europe's top divisions. This will, however, cause for the upcoming 2027 season to be, well, significantly different. The following news story comes from winnipegfreepress.com. The article states, quote, Major League Soccer will play a shortened 14-game regular season in early 2027 before the league switches to a schedule that better aligns with those of its international counterparts. The so-called sprint season will run from February to May 2027, with each of the league's 30 teams playing 14 games, 7 at home and 7 on the road, solely against conference opponents. The top 8 teams from each conference will advance to the single elimination MLS Cup playoffs. The league will then turn to the 2027-2028 season that kicks off in July 2027. The playoffs and league championship will be played in May 2028. MLS owners voted last year to make the switch. The new MLS schedule includes an extended break during the winter, with just a few games played in early December and no games in January before resuming in early to mid-February, end quote. Gee, there is a lot to discuss here, and you'll start us off. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought this season starting in the middle of February was supposed to kind of align MLS with Europe. I don't conceptually hate the idea of the MLS being aligned with Europe. I think it makes a lot of sense. We've seen in Germany they take their winter break, which fits perfectly in MLS. Like it makes sense. It just feels like they're making it way more confusing and convoluted than it needed to. They already started this season earlier. I was under the assumption that with the season starting earlier, finishing earlier, then you would kind of do the very short carryover between seasons like we'll see at the end of the 2027 season into 2027-28. But to me, like at the point of if you're going to play a 14-game regular season, you're going to play only the teams in your conference. You're like, almost like, what's the point of that season? Like, whoever wins that MLS Cup, doesn't matter who wins it, it's going to have the asterisks of like, this doesn't really count. You played like a quarter of a season. You didn't play half of the league. It's just, to me, just a really baffling decision on how to get to an end point that we actually all are going to benefit from and like, but just how we're getting there just seems really, really stupid.
Yeah, and you would know this better than me, but like this shortened season idea, it almost reminds me of the days of the NHL lockout. Do you remember those?
Yeah, and I mean those were a little different. Like there was just
Yeah.
there was a lot of you know a lot of stuff surrounding that. But yeah, like you look back at like the lockout seasons where they started their season in January instead of September, or even just February, I think it might have been, and they only played like 40 odd games. Like yeah, it's kind of look back at like yes, a team won the Stanley Cup, absolutely, but like you all of the records kind of from that year. It's like the top goal scorer had like 35, 40 goals instead of normally we see guys in 40s and 50s. Like everything's just kind of shrunk down. It's just kind of like brushed aside as like not really a full season.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, I used to coach in Ontario's Tier 2 competitive youth league, the Western Region Soccer League. We would play 16 games in a regular season locally in the province of Ontario, and they're only going to play 14. To me, it doesn't sit particularly well. I find it to be awfully strange. But like you said, the whole idea of it aligning with Europe's top divisions, I've got no issue with. I think it actually makes a lot of sense. But to your point, you said it beautifully. How we're getting there, I just don't know. So how do you think maybe the players and the I guess obviously the owners voted for it, so they don't particularly care, but how do you think players and coaches and staff and management, how do you think they're going to feel about it, G?
I mean, it's tough to say. Like these are guys playing at the top of their sport, respectively. Like to the the league. Like there's no higher in North America than MLS. Like I think like they're still going to go for it. Like don't get me wrong. Like no player is going to waltz into that season and just be like it's preseason, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like they're going to treat it like a full season. They're going to treat it like it's the most important thing in the world. Um, so I don't doubt that aspect. I don't doubt the integrity of the football being played. I think the teams are still going to go for it. Um, but yeah, I just think like what I do think is that like if a team has a bad sprint season, like it's just going to be kind of brushed off as well. It's just a bit of preseason and warm up for the next season. Um, but yeah, and then if a team has a great sprint season, then they're obviously going to love it and it's going to be fantastic. And the pictures at the end of the season with the MLS Cup, like that's the team that wins it, the fan base that whose team wins it, they're not going to care that it's a sprint season or however they got there. They're going to enjoy it. Um, so yeah, I think the teams that do well are going to obviously kind of take it seriously. The teams that don't do well will just be like, well, it's preseason. It was 14 games, an extended preseason, if you want to call it that. Like, yeah, I think it's the players are still going to go for it, but it's just going to feel weird.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of teams, this will be looked at as a bit of a free hit,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, so in some ways it could be good, even for somebody like TFC potentially who's in the midst of that rebuild. Like, hey, we got a free hit, short season, anything could happen. So yeah, it could. I mean, you could definitely look at the positives, which is not so bad. So yeah, that's what's happening in the MLS right now. Glad to have kept everybody updated, but the main focus, of course, right now is amidst the MLS season that is currently underway. And in future episodes of Full Time, we'll definitely endeavor to keep all of you, our wonderful listeners, up to speed with that. Moving along, it is now time to review the Carabao Cup final. The final was contested this past Sunday, March 22nd, between Arsenal and Manchester City at Wembley Stadium for the season's first domestic trophy. Arsenal would be looking to win this trophy for the first time since 1993. That's my birth year, by the way. Whereas Manchester
Don't
City
hate
would be.
yourself like that, Scarps.
Oh no, I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. But on a much brighter note, I suppose for Manchester City fans, they would be looking to win this trophy for a ninth time in the club's history. The first half was largely a feeling out process, with possession traded both ways and defensive blockades being at the forefront of both managers' thinking. A triple save from Manchester City's goalkeeper James Trafford would keep things level at 0-0 going into halftime. In the second half, Manchester City came alive, dominating possession, winning key counter-pressing duels, and being the more dominant threat in the air, allowing them to get onto first and second balls. On the 1 hour mark, a mishandled cross from Arsenal goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga would fall to Nico O'Reilly inside the 6-yard box, allowing him to convert and put City up 1-0. The 21-year-old's magic, however, did not stop there. against a deflated, dejected, and demoralized Arsenal, who were already on the back foot prior to conceding. It was Manchester City who would string together some fantastic interplay with a clever overlap, which would lead to yet another cross, and you guessed it, another Nico O'Reilly goal just 4 minutes after scoring his first. In the space of 4 minutes, the game was 2-0 for Manchester City, and the silence of Arsenal fans was only to be met with the cheers of City supporters. Despite attempts from Arsenal to make progressive efforts forward, truly, it wasn't the team's day. A hit post from Ricardo Calafiori and a hit crossbar from Gabriel Jesus would more or less spell the end for Arsenal, as Manchester City's poise, control, and collectedness would see the game out. Manchester City, on the back of a solid team performance and a magical day out from England's Nico O'Reilly, would see them win the season's first trophy, the Carabao Cup. Gitano, your Manchester City are Carabao Cup champions. And before we get into all things pertaining to the runners-up and the victors, if you could, please give us your thoughts on how this match played out, my friend.
Um, I I don't want to sound too cocky, but I think I kind of nailed the run of play, anyways. With Arsenal getting those early chances, the huge triple save of James Trafford around the 10-minute mark. I thought that was I think that really kind of settled the nerves and set the tone for City. It was like, okay, like we weren't in it quite yet. That really woke the team up. And they really turned it around from there. And then from there, City just turned it up to a level I really haven't seen since the treble winning season. I made a comment to my girlfriend, kind of in that stretch where City just dominated the ball in the Arsenal half in the second half. I was like, this used to be every single game. Like every single game used to play out exactly like this. It didn't matter who we played, where we played, when we played them. Like this used to be full seasons like this. It was incredible to watch. And like I said, it's really the highest level I've seen City hit since the treble winning season. I thought it was just a fantastic performance. And I thought Arsenal played well too. I don't want to discredit them at all. I thought they defended, I thought pretty well. I think the Kepa mistake for the first goal, I think you said it best, just deflated them. If the first goal had been conceded any other way, I don't think it would have been as bad. But having the ball literally pass through his hands and drop in front of Nico O'Reilly, I think that was, just, kind of the death sentence for them almost immediately there. And then City just relentless, kept the pressure on. Even the post and crossbars you guys hit, like the Calafiori shot, hit the outside of the post and went wide. The Gabby Jesus, hit the kind of the top of the crossbar, never really was like a high danger chance. But yeah, I thought it was just a really great game. I think for the neutrals, it was probably a really good game as well. Obviously, I can't say because I was slightly biased in that. But yeah, I thought kind of on the day it was a very good 90 minutes of football. I'm really glad it wasn't just like two teams not wanting to go at it. I'm glad the refereeing was very good, or even if it wasn't very good, it wasn't bad. I thought just the event was really good. And obviously very happy with the result.
Yeah, we're going to get onto Arsenal here in a minute, so I'm going to save my opinions for what you just said regarding Arsenal. I'll save that for a short while later. I thought on the game itself, it was kind of a tale of two halves in a certain way, whereby the first half was at least balanced. Yep. Arsenal did create those chances, which ultimately led to the triple save, as we talked about. City had their fair share of possession, certainly a little bit more than Arsenal in the first half, ended up being quite a bit more by the end of the game. But then in the second half, whatever Pep did in the locker room, we're going to talk about it because I saw the tactics and I reviewed all the stuff after the game, and I know exactly what they did defensively, and I know what we did not do without the ball, or with the ball, excuse me. The second half was all Manchester City, and the game played out the way that you had said it. I had thought that we would have a bright start, as in Arsenal would. I wouldn't say it was bright. It wasn't bad, but it was balanced. It never made me worry. It was A-okay. But the second half, I think, is where absolutely everything changed, even before that Kepa mistake, because I don't think the whole blame can be put on him, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. But I think that even before the first goal, I could already see things turning. And it was the first maybe 5 to 7 minutes of the second half where I thought this could be trouble. And Manchester City executed that game plan, particularly in the last 45 minutes, to I don't know, as well as I've seen a team execute a game plan out of any game that I've watched this season across any league. So let's get into talking a little bit here, Gitano, about Arsenal, who did fall short in this final. A lot of praise and hype surrounding Arsenal coming into this game, but no matter how we want to spin the narrative, or however I want to spin the narrative, or an Arsenal fan wants to spin the narrative, or how we'd like to even set up the dialogue, they did not get the job done. Gitano, if you could give us your breakdown of Arsenal's performance and perhaps where they might have gone wrong, and then I'll step in a little later.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say where they went wrong. I think there's a couple of kind of more tactical elements that you're going to get into. You're the coach. We'll let you get the whiteboard out. But the start was very good. I thought even as City held that possession, kind of going into halftime and kind of outside, like past halftime, like they really didn't look bad. City didn't create tons of high quality chances. There were some shots from distance or some shots from really bad angles that really, you know, I think you and I are both okay with our teams giving up those kind of very very low quality chances. Um, I think just the biggest difference, and it's tough because you can't be a winner until you win something, and it's hard to win something. But I think just in that big game in the final, just not having the mentality to I don't even know how to like properly phrase it. Just to push through and keep going to try and break something up. City had that huge chunk of possession that included the two goals, and kind of as soon as that started, it was almost like over even before City scored. Like you just knew City were going to hold on to that ball. It felt like City won every second, third, fourth ball. There was that stretch leading to the first goal where it felt like anytime Arsenal cleared it, one player from Arsenal was kind of rushing out to try and win the loose ball, and there were three or four City players there to win it back. It was just, and I don't know if that's a coaching thing, a tactic thing, a mentality thing, but just it felt like once they were out of the game, they were never getting back into the game. But even that being said, like they didn't play terribly. Like that's not. I've seen way worse performances from teams that City has played. I've seen this Arsenal team play way worse than that. So I think it's just kind of a, if they run into City on a different day, I think they get a result. I think if they play a different team in that final instead of Man City, I think they could get a result. It was just on that day, City finding that level we haven't seen since they were the best team, one of the best teams to ever play in England. Kind of sucked for them. But yeah, I don't think they were terrible. I don't think they were great. I think there were areas that they could have been better. But yeah, I think that's kind of all I've got. I know you want to give it a little more of a tactical analysis, and I'm really looking forward to hearing that.
Well, you said so many things that I agree with, but I'm going to add something to just kind of encapsulate everything you said. Arsenal didn't have an answer. They did not have an answer for what Manchester City brought to the table. Was it the worst performance of the season? No, because I watched the Wolves 2-2 draw. I remember texting you that I rushed home from school that day. I said, I can't believe I did that just to watch that drivel, like terrible. So there's been worse performances. But we looked like a scared school team. Honestly, we did in the second half. We did not have an answer. So the way that Manchester City pressed, they pressed in a line of four, but the line of confrontation wasn't set particularly high. They used the fullbacks as the triggers to go and press. If the center backs had it or the goalkeeper had it, what did Manchester City do? They just stayed there. They didn't move. We would hold on to the ball for the better part of what seemed 20, 30, 40 seconds before making a pass out wide, and then we'd go get clamped. City would win the ball, they'd keep it, and we're chasing shadows. We're trying to get back into a shape, but I couldn't even tell what formation that we were playing in the second half. We didn't have an answer for what we wanted to do with the ball. We certainly didn't have an answer for what we wanted to do without the ball, the way Manchester City held it, caused Turkey to do keep-ups on 70 minutes. So if that doesn't tell you something as a team, and if that doesn't tell you something as a manager, because I've defended Mikel Arteta to the hill, he was lost in the game, and this was a case of teacher and student. I'm sorry, it was bad in that way. So was it the worst performance? No, we still generated chances out of playing a not so great game. The game for 45 minutes was in the balance, but the second half is where things change. You know it, being a Manchester City fan and being a huge fan of Pep Guardiola. Big managers know the right changes and the right things to do to get things over the line. Halftime, it's a stalemate. It's 0-0. Who's going to go out there and make the changes? Who's going to go out there and take the game by the scruff of the neck? And Cappy should have been off at halftime. He was on a yellow card. He didn't want to go into a tackle on Semenyo. Semenyo was cooking him all game.
Yep.
Doku was running circles around Ben White, who all of a sudden now has an England call up on the back of that performance. I really don't understand. The only thing Ben White did was good was go smash into Turkey because somebody
Yeah.
had to go and do it after doing the keep ups. And I'm sorry, somebody should have kept doing it time and time again after. If you're going to do that, you deserve to get licked. But at the same time, Turkey was doing whatever he wanted on the field and nobody was laying a glove on him. So we didn't have the answers in the game. And what's concerning for me, at least as an Arsenal fan, usually at the end of these games or even during these games, I'm shouting at the TV or I'm really angry, upset. I was subdued after the game. I've never felt like that after a loss. I have felt like that after a loss when I've played before because I didn't know exactly what hit me in a game where you get upset. But after that loss, I watched the game at my friend's house, who happens to be my cousin, and I was just kind of sitting there and I didn't really know what to think. And then I drove home later, and I still didn't know what to think. And I was never angry. I was never frustrated. I was never upset. Now that a few days have passed, I'm thinking to myself, oh, that wasn't what we needed in this moment of the season. I'm a little bit concerned moving forward, but that's my assessment of Arsenal, Gitano. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that's really how I feel.
Yeah, I feel like you took exactly what I wanted to say and couldn't find the words for it. Found the words for it. Yeah, you just had no answer. Everything City did, it felt like Arsenal were just reacting. There was nothing, preventative about anything. Like there was no trying. There was never setting up to do something. It was always just reacting to what City did, and like sometimes not even really reacting to what City did. Even with Turkey, I'm not even going to bring it like the keepy up thing. That to me, funny in the moment, but like I don't think it really has anything to do with what I want to say. But like he was just playing wherever he wanted to play. It was almost, and I want to be very clear when I say this. I'm not in any way, shape, or form comparing him to the players that I'm about to compare him to. But that was the first time since like the David Silva and KDB, like the dual tens, where you just had these midfield players who just roamed wherever they wanted, linked up with whoever they wanted to link up with, play a ball here, a little back heel pass there, like break a line here, go for a little run, take a guy on. Like we haven't seen it. I haven't seen a City player play like that, have that freedom in a very long time. I thought that was a really refreshing performance to see from him. He was fantastic. But yeah, it was just like but Arsenal let him do that. There was no, outside of Ben White clattering him after the keepy ups, there was no answer to Turkey. And even like outside of that isolated incident, there was nobody was getting stuck in on him. You guys gave him all the time and space in the world. Like it was just, yeah, no answer. I think that was a really, really great way to put it.
And just for reference, just to encapsulate what happened in the second half, I think this summarizes it well. He does the keepy ups, 45 yards out on the left side on the touchline, right?
Yeah.
About 2 minutes later, he's on the edge of the box on the right side of the field, twisting and turning three Arsenal defenders, and they're just standing there watching him. So to your point, he just free roamed and nobody did anything. But it wasn't just him in the game in that second half that Arsenal didn't do anything with. We really genuinely looked absolutely lost, and that does concern me going in to the rest of the season. But what's more important here, Gitano, we do have to talk about it. It's not about the losers. That's not what this final is about. It is all about the winners of the competition. That, of course, is your Manchester City. So, G, we've talked about it already. The show, we've talked about it off air. Your side were the deserved winners. So you're going to tell us what made City so good on this day, of course, allowing them to lift the trophy. I saw things from a tactical point of view, but in that second half, I also saw things from a desire point of view. But you're the City fan. You're closer to it than me. So take it away.
I mean, for me, it comes down to one word, one man. It's Rodri. That was the best performance we've seen from him since the ACL injury. And I mean, it just kind of proves why he won the Ballon d'Or in 2024. He is the most important player at Manchester City. When he plays to that level, there's just nobody that can like literally get near him. And then like in terms of what he does on the pitch, nobody gets near him. I thought that was an 11 out of 10 performance from Rodri. Won all of his duels, was just getting stuck in everywhere. something kind of he's added to his game was getting in the box. He set up the Matthias Nunez run for the second goal with the little flick. Like he was just all over the park, passing, shooting, defending, tackling. He was just everywhere. It was just a brilliant performance from him. And I think when he's at his level like that, there's really nothing that can stop this Man City team. And I'm hoping that's kind of a good boost. Obviously, the international break is kind of a bummer to have a performance like that and then immediately be off for 2 weeks. But hoping that that's kind of the boost that City need, kind of to push the end of this season. Whether it's in the Premier League or the FA Cup, just get that boost there. Nico O'Reilly, the day after his 21st birthday. I've said it on the show a couple times. I'll continue to say it. He's Man City's player of the season. No matter what happens from here on out, the the fact that he's supposed to be a central midfielder, he's played at shifted to left back almost. It's like a rite of passage for players at Man City now. For these young players to start at left back and then kind of, if you can do that really well, then you get to play in your preferred position. Um, we saw it with Rico Lewis, same thing. Like all these guys have kind of gone through this where you start as a fullback, do the work there, and then you got to get once you've earned Pep's trust playing there, you can kind of play elsewhere. But I thought he was just magnificent, playing as a left winger basically by the end of the game. The just for a kid who just turned 21. To have that level of performance on that stage against such an opponent like your Arsenal, especially the way they're playing this kind of time of year, just brilliant from him. I thought James Trafford was awesome. Those saves in those first few minutes, I was a little worried. And obviously, when you have a keeper like Gianluigi Donnarumma on the bench, like it's big shoes to fill anytime that he's not in the net. And I thought James Trafford had a phenomenal game. Proved why Pep trusted him to bring him back into the club and give him the minutes that he has. And obviously, the discussion about bringing Donnarumma in, Trafford was supposed to be the number one. Like you see why Pep had the vision for James Trafford. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought Kushyanov at the back was just brilliant. There were a couple of times, I want to say it was Gyökeres or Trossard, one of the two of them were through, and it almost felt like Kushyanov didn't even like break a sweat getting back, knock the ball off, make the tackle. He was just cruising out there. Really, I have nothing bad to say about any of the City players. I thought everyone really played phenomenally. I thought Pep got the tactics like brilliantly spot on, even down to the starting 11. I thought he nailed. I just thought, it was just a really great performance. I've missed seeing City play like that. When they just recycle the ball over and over and over again. It's just, I know it sucks for you, and I feel really bad saying this, but it's phenomenal to watch. Like as a supporter and as probably neutrals, being on the other end of it, I'm sure is not not nearly as fun. But just the quality across the board, even the subs that came on were fantastic. I just thought it was a phenomenal performance, and really hoping that's kind of a kind of kickstarter for the back half of the season here.
Yeah, and I'm going to get on to Manchester City. I do have to say two things, though. You mentioned about whether or not it was Gyökeres or Trossard. It was Gyökeres because Leandro Trossard, I didn't even know that he played in the game. He went hiding the whole time. He was invisible. And then, because I know I'm going to get cooked in the comments or someone's going to say something, I did back Kepa to start. I didn't know he was going to make a howler of a mistake like that, but I thought it was the right decision, so I don't back out on that. I just want to make that clear. On your City, from front back to front, everybody played good. Everybody played good. Rodri, to your point, I haven't seen him play like that in a long while. I guess probably since the injury, perhaps. James Trafford going in goal, he took his moment and he stood up and he, in my opinion, put in a 10 out of 10 performance. Everybody at the back, obviously Nico O'Reilly, man of the match. Like technically man of the match because he was given man of the match. Unbelievable. The midfield, that was, I don't know if it was a second half masterclass, not a full game masterclass, but what they did with the ball in the second half was ridiculous. It was the City of old. And I think underrated too, probably Holland deserves a little bit of credit because he kept Gabriel and Saliba glued on to him. And all City did was spray balls out to Doku and Semenyo, and you guys absolutely destroyed us out there on the flanks. And Gabriel and Saliba are one of only a few players in my books that got a passing grade for the game. Just how bad that second half was. But yeah, that was impressive to watch from your city. I didn't like it. I struggled to watch it, but how could you not admire it as a fan of football? You admit when the football is good. So yeah, a sublime performance from your Manchester City. And everybody wants to talk about the possession of Manchester City. And I would say to anybody from a coaching point of view, how does a team get good at possession? You have to defend first. And the way that you get the ball is from defending first. If you don't defend, you don't get possession of the ball. The way that Manchester City executed those defensive tactics, not just in the middle third, but even higher up the pitch on the edge of Arsenal's third, unbelievable. So, yeah, a sublime performance. Tough to watch, but definitely the deserved victors, Manchester City. And now, Gitano, in our preview show, we did predict the starting 11. So difficult for you to pick Pep's starting 11 because you don't know what he's going to pick. I think you said off air that you went 8 for 11, and
Yes.
I almost got the Arsenal starting 11 correct. I didn't know that Eze was going to be injured. And by the way, it sounds like he's out for quite some time, a pulled or a strained calf. So that's going to take a few weeks for sure. But apart from Eze, I got every other one right. So we were pretty close, I would say.
Yeah, obviously for you, I actually going into the game, I texted you right before kickoff. I was like, I think you went perfect. I didn't realize that Eze had been hurt, and I was when I kind of looked at like your bench, I was like, yeah, like I don't think he said any of these guys. Must have been perfect. So obviously missed the Eze injury, but I'm really proud going eight for 11. I actually sent you the message. I think it was the Friday or Saturday. Pep confirmed that Trafford was starting, and I was like, well, I at least went 1 for 11.
Yeah.
I got one right. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of 8 for 11. I think the only ones I didn't get were uh, I had Diaz to start, but he picked up a knock midweek, same as Eze, so he didn't start. So Nathan Ake went in, and then I got the wingers wrong. He went with Doku, or no, he went with Doku instead of I had Foden,
Yeah.
and he had Cherky instead of Nico G. But I mean, like I said, eight for 11, predicting a Pep Guardiola starting 11. I'm gonna take that every day of the week.
Man, when I was watching the game, because you had mentioned about who'd you say? Diaz was up in the stand. So when I was watching the game with my cousin, when the camera panned to it, he goes, "Man, look at that!" And like all those players that were up in the stand, like top class, top class, top class, world class, top class, top class. It's yeah, it's remarkable to see what the both managers, to be fair, what both managers can choose from. That would be any manager's luxury, no doubt. So, Gaetano, that does put an end to the Carabao Cup. And for me personally, obviously, this did not end the way that I wanted it to, but that is sport, and it's important to be humble in defeat. So, Gaetano, from me to you, a pleasure covering this Cup competition, but most importantly, congratulations once more.
Thank you, Scarps. And again, if the result had gone the other way, it would be the same way. Always a pleasure covering this cup with you. You know, it's an underrated one. It's not one that gets too much love. I've always had a lot of love for it. City have won it quite a bit since I've been a fan, which has been nice. But yeah, regardless of the result, it's always a pleasure covering it with you.
Appreciate it, man. The day does belong to the victors, the champions of the 2026 Carabao Cup, Manchester City. Europe's Big Five is how we will end tonight's show, and we will first start by looking at the English Premier League. Arsenal sit at the top of the table with 70 points. Manchester City is second with 61 points, but they do have a game in hand. Manchester United currently hold down third place with 55 points. Breathing down their necks is Aston Villa in fourth with 54 points. Liverpool, Chelsea, Brentford, and Everton all make up the chasing pack for Champions League places. Gee, we are in the international break now, but the race for the top four is certainly on, and very much so, especially after what happened in the Carabao Cup. I would say that the title race is going to heat up now. What are you saying amidst all of this, G?
First and foremost, how are United in third? For just for how high quality we talk about like the top half of the Premier League being and how terrible Manchester United are, I really don't get how over the last few seasons they've ended up kind of in this ballpark. Just baffling to me. But on a more serious note, I think, like I talked about, like I hope the Carabao Cup win is a boost for City. Obviously, a game in hand. We have a game against you guys at the Etihad also as well. Which I mean, a lot of people look, oh, it's 9 points, it's over, but like it is the furthest thing from over. I've seen City have these kind of leads, and it slowly chips away. I've seen City come back from deficits like this, so I know it's not over until it is over.
I'm going to address your first point on Manchester United, and the guy that I watched the Carabao Cup final with is uh, one of maybe the biggest Manchester United fan I know. It's all a feel good factor with Carrick, just because he has them playing simple football and they're all playing in their preferred positions. So that's what it is. But depending on what happens next season, we'll see what happens with United. The race for the top four is on. I'm not concerned about that. I am so glad that you just said those things about the title race because I have here a whole host of facts that I'm going to read to you. You ready?
Yep.
This list, because I did my research on this, because after the Carabao Cup final, I was subdued, like I said, but I'm now scared. I don't mind admitting that. The list I have here, Gitano, is the biggest deficits overturned after 30 plus games in Premier League history. In first, in the 2013 2014 season, Manchester City, 5 games left, 9 points off first. Manchester City win the league. The second biggest comeback in Premier League history, 2011 2012, Manchester City, 6 games left, 8 points off first. Manchester City won the league on the famous Aguero goal. In third place, 1997 1998, Arsenal, 8 games remaining, 7 points off the top. Arsenal won the league. In fourth, the fourth biggest comeback in Premier League history, 2022-2023, Manchester City, 8 games left, 5 points off first. Manchester City won the league. The fifth biggest comeback in Premier League history, 2023-2024, Manchester City, 6 games left, 4 points off first. Manchester City won the league. So, in the 5 biggest comebacks in Premier League history, Manchester City has won 4 of them. Arsenal won one of them back in the 1990s. I'm terrified.
Yeah, it's fine. As soon as you said that, I brought up the 13-14 Premier League table because City were in third. It was Liverpool had 35 games played, 80 points. Chelsea was in second, 35 games, 75 points, sorry. And City, with 2 games in hand, 33 games played, had 71 points and took it to the last day of the season. Because that was Istanbul. That was the Crystal Palace
Yeah,
comeback, the 3-0 there. One of my favorite games of all time. Stevie G had the slip against Chelsea. It was just a brilliant season. But yeah, like I'm really lucky City have been on the right side of all of these big comebacks. But yeah, until it is mathematically done, it is not done.
correct. And what infuriates me as an Arsenal fan is the Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, the Carabao Cup didn't matter. It's just a one-off game. Could have happened anytime." You ready? Do you not know football heritage? Do you not know what's happened down the years? Aren't you? I'm terrified. Terrified. Until we win something, I won't be terrified anymore. Then I'll be able to stick my chest out. We haven't won something. These statistics, you know what these are? These are real. These aren't made up. I didn't just do it for the sake of our show. These are real things. So I don't know what's going to happen in the final 7 to 8 games of the season here. But if these statistics are indicative of what can happen as an Arsenal fan or any Arsenal fan out there, we need to be scared. And this team needs to get it together. Gitano, you said it well. It's not over till it's over. In the relegation zone, Wolves and Burnley have their relegation fate nearly sealed, but nothing will be confirmed for at least another month, especially with this 2 week international break. They sit in 20th and 19th, respectively. In the final spot of the relegation zone is West Ham on 29 points. Just outside the relegation zone is Tottenham with 30 points, followed by Nottingham Forest and Leeds with 32 and 33 points, respectively. G, as we see in the relegation battle, it is only going to take one game for things to change. What are you saying here?
A couple kind of points on the relegation battle. I don't know how Wolves aren't mathematically relegated yet. 17 points with 7 games left. And I realize that there's a mathematical chance for them to get out of the relegation zone, but it's just insane that they could survive in the Premier League with 7 games left and 17 points right now. But I think them and Burnley are all but mathematically relegated. And just the things I would give up to see Spurs get relegated. That would just be. And like the thing is, like every week that we record, every time we send a text about it, like we're just inching closer and closer to it becoming reality. They're not. Vicario got hurt, so now the young keeper that you threw to the Wolves, I'll beat that.
Thank you.
You threw the kid to the wolves against Atletico in the Champions League and absolutely crushed him. Now has to be your starting goalie as you fight for Premier League survival. I don't think the script could have written itself any better.
No.
Um, but I just think, yeah, like you know, do you sack your caretaker manager and bring someone else in for these last 7 games? Like, you almost have to at this point. What's the worst that happens? You still get relegated. Like, get Harry Redknapp, get anyone, get anyone to coach your team that isn't what Igor Tudor is his
Yeah.
name. Yeah, like it's diabolical, and I'm a huge fan of it. I love it. I hope they get relegated and never make it back to the Premier League. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because at about 5:15 p.m. Eastern time, a huge story broke. Roberto De Zerbi in line for the Tottenham job. I was actually just leaving school, and I'd stopped at the store to pick something up, and I checked my phone because I had gotten one of those text notifications, and it said breaking story coming from a reputable source as well. And he had publicly come out and said that he'd be willing to take the Tottenham job until the end of the season and then have talks over the summer to see where things go. So that could be the change. Like you said, get anybody in. That's a pretty reputable manager, but a relegation battle is true and well on. We haven't really seen a proper relegation fight for a few years. I think maybe since when Jesse Marsh was in charge of Leeds, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first full season we covered was the city's treble winning season, right? I think
Sounds right. All the years kind of blend together, to be honest, but that sounds right.
because I don't think I think that was probably the 22-23 was I think probably the last time we had like a really good relegation battle. I know last season it was a wash, and I feel like the season yeah, because it was the last 2 seasons where all 3 teams that came up had gone right
Yes,
back down.
right.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
been a while. It's been a while.
it's been a while, but we got one on our hands, and if things don't change quick and fast for Tottenham, they certainly could be on their way down. In Italy, Serie A, Inter remains top with 69 points. Their rivals Milan sit in second with 63 points. Napoli is third with 62 points. Como rounds out the top four with 57 points. Gee, it's 8 games left to go in Italy's top flight, and anything can happen here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean 6 points is we're talking about nearly 10 points in the Premier League not being done. 6 points in Italy is certainly not done, especially even if you just look at kind of the next, obviously it's not this weekend, but the next match week. Inter play Roma, who are in sixth. You have a battle in second and third between Milan and Napoli. Like, there's these really, really heavy games. And I don't know if they do it on purpose, but it feels like in Italy, there's always like those last couple weeks this season, there's always some really heavy hitting games. And they always seem to have title implications other than when someone's really running away with the title. So I'm really just looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. I still think Inter have enough, even with the Champions League disappointment and maybe not having the greatest season compared to their last couple where they've been super dominant in Italy. I still think they've got enough to see this through.
I would think so, but yeah, there's certainly been drama in Italy down the years with the title race. I think that was pretty clear last season, and wouldn't doubt to see something happen again this season. I certainly would love to see it, and I'm sure a lot of fans would as well. Out in La Liga, Barcelona is top with 73 points. Real Madrid is in second with 69 points. Third is Villarreal Villarreal is in third with 58 points. Fourth is Atletico Madrid with 57 points. The two-horse race is on in Spain, but it is advantage Barcelona with just under 10 games left to go in the league.
Yeah, like we talked about when they sacked Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid really, I think, just kind of shot themselves in the foot. Obviously, it wasn't a detrimental. They haven't won a game since type scenario, but not the greatest results since. And Barcelona's just been rolling. 5 wins in the last five. Huge game against Atletico Madrid coming up again in the next match week. But yeah, I just think Barcelona just having that consistency, not having a managerial change so close to the end of the season, is really going to be key for them. I think, yeah, like Real Madrid shot themselves in the foot.
I think so too, and they'll probably end up just banking on the Champions League. But as we're going to talk about in our next episode on Full Time, they got an absolute giant in Bayern Munich to confront them. So yeah, it could be Barcelona's to run away with it in the short-term future. Germany's Bundesliga is approaching its business end of the season with just 7 matches to go. Bayern still have some work to do yet, but their goal of being champions is drawing near. They have a 9-point lead over second place Dortmund. Stuttgart, Leipzig, and Hoffenheim are the remaining teams aiming to claim those desired Champions League spots. Gee, it's just a matter of focus for Bayern, I would say, but do you foresee any chance of a slip up here?
Um, it's funny because we look at the Bundesliga and we go, "Oh, Bayern running away with it, dominant all season." Same amount of points as Arsenal. Borussia Dortmund in second place. Same amount of points as Man City. Obviously, City have the game in hand as well. But the title race is almost just as close in the Bundesliga as it is uh, in the Premier League. I just think kind of on their form and how they've played, only the one loss this season. You just know Bayern Munich are gonna kind of keep their foot's on the pedal. Vinny Company's not gonna let them let up for 1 second. I think they could even once they have it mathematically wrapped up, they're still not going to let up. But yeah, I think Dortmund are going to have to give it a go. They're going to have to, I know they've already played both their games against Bayern Munich, which sucks for them. It's not no real chance to kind of get a 6-pointer in there. But I think for Dortmund, you're hoping that Bayern Munich slips up. I don't think Bayern Munich will.
I don't think so either, and their focus is supreme right now. And you just got to see if they could do it on both fronts in Germany and in the Champions League. But I've definitely got a good feeling about them. And out in France's Ligue 1, PSG is at the top of the table with a possibility to extend their lead to 4 points as of this Friday, if they happen to win their game in hand, of course. They have 60 points to Lens's 59 points. Marseille in third makes up the final Champions League spot, with the likes of Lyon, Lille, Monaco, and Rennes chasing them. Gee, the gap at the top of the table has not been more than 4 points, if you can believe this, since the Christmas break, clearly indicating the closeness of Ligue 1 this season. Can PSG look at this as an opportunity to potentially create some psychological separation if they win their next game, Gitano?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna hope that's the result. I know, again, when I say I know, I've never been in that locker room, but the Lens players, regardless of the result, aren't gonna care. For them, they have to do their job. They need to win their games, and because for them, even if they win all their games, PSG win all their games, that's all they can do. So I don't think it's gonna have too much of an effect, especially because how close. It's only going to be 4 points. It's not like they're going from 4 to 7 points, which near this point of the season could start to look like a bit of a mountain to climb. But I think, regardless of that result, the Lens team, they're still going to be going, they're still going to give it their all. I don't think it'll be too much. Maybe if PSG go out and win like 8 or 9-0 and really, really lay the hammer down, that might have a little bit of a ripple effect. But outside of that, I don't think it'll be too much of a blow, regardless of the result.
Yeah, fair enough. And we can only hope that this race till the end of the season stays neck and neck, because it certainly has been a good change for us viewers of Ligue 1 and football in general. So that's our take there on Europe's Big Five, business end of the season. Gitano approaching, exciting times, right?
Yeah, it's weird. I think, is the first time in a while that we haven't had kind of a confirmed league winner at any point across any of the
Yeah.
top five leagues nearing the end of April. It's usually PSG or Bayern kind of running away with it. So it's nice to have still like really meaningful games being played as a neutral for the 4 other leagues. It's been really fun to just have other meaningful football to watch after the City games or before the City games or when City aren't playing. I've just really enjoyed pretty much everything that I've seen across the Big Five leagues this season.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And at the time of recording, it's March 25th. The next time we will record will be March 31st. And to not have a winner by this point is awfully strange for us. But the deeper we can go into April without a winner, the better for everybody. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you're listening to the Full Time Podcast on 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza and Sioux Sports. Check out the Pizza Portal app for a quicker, easier way to get your next hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars. And be sure to check out Sioux Sports at siouxsports.com and Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Full Time. As we bring today's show to a close, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to all of you for being with us on this episode of Full Time. G, as always, a pleasure, my friend. Thank you very much for tonight.
No, always a pleasure on my end. I know this isn't the most fun episode for you to have to record. Considering the result on the weekend. Thank you for being a trooper and putting up with it. Thank you for being a trooper and putting up with me as a City fan, celebrating it. A fantastic recording. I can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely. Humble in victory, but always, as I was taught from Pops, humble in defeat. A reminder to our listeners that the next episode of Full Time will be recorded the week of March 30th, 2026. In that show, we will take a look at the Champions League and the FA Cup. As always, we will keep everyone in the loop with all of the happenings in the world of football. For weekly content, make sure to hit like, follow, share, and subscribe to all platforms of 91 Network on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Podbean, and Spaces at suetoday.com. For Gitano Gallo, my name is Daniel Scarpino, and thank you for tuning in to Full Time. We look forward to seeing you at kickoff next time back here on the Full Time Podcast and 91 Network. Best always.